Welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. Thanks for joining the Link Ventures Investor Spotlight. I'm your host, Tim Lazat. I'm the CEO and Managing Director of Green Life Capital. Green Life Capital is a private money debt investor. We have a syndicate of family offices, hedge funds, and ultra high net worth individuals. Since 2019, our syndicate has funded over $200 million in commercial real estate and working and capital growth. We have access to over $500 million to deploy in alternative financing. Now, as far as the Link Ventures, it is a global platform that showcases emerging growth companies to active investors. Through a combination of our website, our events, and customized service, we provide opportunities and tailored matchmaking between private companies and investors. Private companies are able to showcase their company, like you're going to hear today, to potential investors or CEOs who are seeking acquisition targets. Investors are able to view and access and connect with deal flow that has gone through our vetting process. Each and every month, we receive over 100 requests for funding and investment opportunities, and we're sharing those with you from our deal flow channels. Today, we have an exciting lineup of CEOs and industry leaders who are seeking capital that are going to be presenting to our audience of investors today. Not every company that asks to present is selected to present at our events. Each of these companies has gone through our screening process and represents some of the best opportunities in their various stages of growth. The companies that are presenting here today are in various industries, including biotech, clean tech, health and wellness, legalized cannabis, real estate, and consumer goods that are improving the human condition. So I'm joining you from Las Vegas. Again, we welcome you from wherever you're joining us from. We have audience members from around the globe in various time zones. Some have stayed up all night just to be able to attend this event. So whether it's sunny or dark or early or late where you're at, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. I'm going to walk you through our schedule here today and all the times and some housekeeping, and all the times that I mentioned today right now are going to be in Pacific Standard Time. Today's schedule is also posted on the Link Ventures website. You can find that at www.linkedventures.net. You can also look under the page Investor Spotlight. This webinar will go till approximately 1:10 p.m. today. And from 1:15 to 2:15 today, we'll have a separate networking meeting that will follow. The networking meeting link is going to be provided in your chat, and it will also be available on the Linked Ventures website on the Investor Spotlight page. Please don't click on that networking link too early. Once you do click on that, you will leave this webinar. You'll join that networking. It is, for most people, you can only have one Zoom application open at a time. I do have the privilege of kicking off our first presentation today. We're giving a special presentation from Green Life Capital. We'll be doing that from in approximately a minute or two here until about 11:15 or 11:20. At 11:20 to 1, you'll hear from our 4 showcased companies. And from 1 to 1:10 p.m. today, we'll have a brief poll, and you'll also be voting on which company you feel delivered the best presentation today. As an attendee, I encourage you to vote who you felt delivered the best pitch that you would consider investing in. After each presenter has finished their presentation, there'll be an opportunity for you, the audience, to ask drill down questions of each of our presenters here today. If you want to submit a question to one of those presenting companies, you use your Q&A down at the bottom of your Zoom app. We will look at the chat as well, but please use the Q&A down at the bottom of your Zoom app. That's how we see your questions, and our panelists will have that Q&A open, and they'll be reviewing your questions. You will type your question in. You can use your name, or you can do that anonymously. And as time permits, I will read the question to the presenters, and they will answer audibly. The questions will only be considered after a presenter has finished their presentation, and we will enable the chat soon. So please don't abuse that chat with inappropriate content or spam. And I don't expect to have to remind you that we're all professionals here today. Are the contact information, I've been asked this a lot, contact information and offering information from the companies that present here and videos are also available on the Linked Ventures website, and that'll be available in the next week or so. We do encourage you to check the linkedventures.net website often for the latest updates and future events. Investing in early stage companies can be quite lucrative. Just ask Sequoia and some other early investors in Airbnb or perhaps Tesla. So will you find the next Airbnb or Tesla here today? Well, one of the things that we can learn from investors is how do they pick their investments? We caught up with Ashton Kutcher, who, for example, he says that he has 3 rules to go by. His first rule is that he looks for entrepreneurs that they have to intimately understand both their product and their industry. His second rule is they have a personality that will allow them to withstand failure and setbacks. And his third rule, they must get along with him well. So what are your criteria? What will you be looking for today as you hear from the companies that are presenting? Now I'm going to give you my presentation from Green Life Capital. So if I'll give me 1 moment, I'm going to share my screen. And can you see that okay, Vinod? Is everything okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So Green Life Capital, we are full spectrum capital solutions. And I want to talk to you today about the PPP2. There's been a lot of questions about the PPP2. What exactly is the PPP2? Well, recent legislation due to the coronavirus and relief for that in the US has allowed the SBA to reopen the Paycheck Protection Program. There is both a first draw, which was started on January 11th, and second draw, and we'll get into that, what those mean, started on January 13th. Well, how much is available? How much can you get? There's $284 billion that's been set aside for this. Approximately $275 billion of that is going to be going to the eligible companies. There is some administrative costs, obviously. We predict that that's going to help around 7.8 million US companies. The average loan amount on the first round was 35,000 per company. So that, just doing the math, we predicted that'll be roughly 7 to 8 million companies that will be helped with this PPP2. The applications are actually already underway, and many companies have already been filing, and there's a lot of backlog for this. So what exactly can you use those funds for? Well, you can use those for payroll, including your benefits. You can use the funds for mortgage interest, pay rent or utilities. You can use those for worker protection costs relating to the coronavirus. You can also use those for uninsured property damage due to looting or vandalism. And you can use those funds for supplier costs and even operations. So a lot of people are asking, well, how much can you get? The maximum loan amount is up to $2 million per company. For most companies, this is 2.5 times their average payroll from either 2019 or 2020. You can also use, for companies that are in accommodation or food service industry, it's 3.5 times their average payroll. A lot of people wonder who exactly qualifies to get a PPP. If you're first draw, you have to be a sole proprietor, independent contractor, self-employed, small business. You could be in accommodations or food sector businesses, a nonprofit, veterans organization, or tribal business concern. You have to meet certain size standards. For most, that's generally going to be under 500 employees. That's a lot of companies. That's a lot of different opportunities. So a lot of people will qualify for this, a lot of opportunity. For the second draw, you have to have previously had the PPP, so you had to have the Paycheck Protection Program loan first, and you'll have to have used up all of your funds, either already used all of those up, or will be using those by the funding of the second round. If you're on the second round, you can have no more than 300 employees. So that's a little bit slightly different. And you have to demonstrate that you had a 25% reduction in your gross sales. And so you'll take a 2019 and a 2020 quarter comparison and to show that reduction. Some of the features of the PPP loans are it's very low interest, 1% interest. There is loan forgiveness. In fact, you can already be applying for that if you had the first draw. This after July 5th, 2020, now the loans mature in 5 years, which is it's actually been extended quite a bit. You don't have to have any collateral. There's no personal guarantee, and there's no fees charged by the government or the lender. So really just to apply this, it's not going to cost you anything, won't cost you anything to get the loan. A lot of people are asking, well, what documentation do you need? Most lenders are going to require for your first draw, at least the application, your 2019 IRS Form 940, your 2020 Q1 IRS 941, or that's your payroll, your 2019 business tax returns, your payroll summary for all months of 2019 and 2020. And then you'll have to sign the SBA Form 2483 and an SBA loan note. If it's your second draw, you'll need all of that. Plus, you'll need your loan number from the first draw and the amount. You'll also need to provide a quarterly profit and loss statement or something that you can have comparative that shows 2019 and 2020 comparative quarters to show your 25% reduction. Alternatively, you can also use bank statements to show that. It's on your gross sales. Your lender may require additional documents, so check with your lender on these. They're here to help. And so we're also here to help. We have a lending partner that's been approved by the SBA. You can contact me directly if you want more information about this or if you want to apply. I do recommend you do get that in early. They're only going to go through March of this year. And it's going to be first come, first serve. You can contact me, Tim, at glifecap.com or 702-867-1944. You can also visit our website, glifecap.com. We have a contact form you can fill out there. We also at Green Life Capital also offer alternative financing. So one of our most popular products is working capital financing. What's really neat about this is we can actually fund you 10 to 20% of your revenues in less than a week. It is private money, so there's not a lot of hoops or anything to jump through. It's fairly straightforward, and there with the qualification criteria are actually relaxed quite a bit as compared to going into a bank. That's why it's alternative financing. Our funding algorithms pretty much fund between 95 to 97% of applications that we receive. So now thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to tell you a little bit about the PPP2 program. And now I want to get on to our first presenter. Our first presenter is Flavia Hungaro. She is the CEO of Sugarloaf. Sugarloaf is a vertical social equity cannabis company in Massachusetts. Their ability to win licenses is almost unprecedented. It's almost as if Flavia lays golden eggs whenever she enters a local jurisdiction. They are seeking to capitalize on the many opportunities that they have and enter into the growing Massachusetts market by finding the right investment partners. Flavia, I hope I didn't steal your thunder. The show is all yours.
Thank you, Tim. All right, so let me share the screen. Let's see. All right, I think it's perfect now. Hello, my name is Flavia Hungaro. This is Louis, my husband. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about Sugarloaf, our goals, and we'll go from there. Oops. Okay, so the agenda today, we're going to go over our vision, market trends, plans, projects, and also projections that we have. So Sugarloaf is a social equity vertically integrated company, proposed to be a vertically integrated company. We are based out of Taunton, Massachusetts. And Louis and I, we met back in school at Boston University around 2012. And he tipped me off on the cannabis industry. And that's how basically everything started. We, at that time, recreational wasn't out there yet for us. So medical was ready, but we were not ready at the time. So it took a little while. I was able to get more familiarized with the industry. I got my medical caregiver license in the state of Rhode Island, and that's how I learned how to cultivate and learn more about the industry. And moving, fast tracking a little bit, recreational cannabis started in Massachusetts. And in 2019, we decided to start looking for properties, and that's how we end up here today after going through the long process of licensing acquisition. And so, so here's the market in Massachusetts. So in 2019, the cannabis market reached around 319 million. And for 2020, the numbers are not finalized yet, but it is estimated at 700 million. And
that's with COVID.
That's with COVID, correct. And so the growth rate is almost at 100%, which puts us, in 2021 at a 1.4 billion. And so going, thinking about the market trends, a lot of people are very aware of self-care, and it's even manifested in the general retail. And so our strategy is to basically educate our consumer so that, basically educate our customers and help them choose the right product. And so we want to create this type of experience in our store where the customer can come and we can, we're knowledgeable to provide the right information and make sure that they purchase the right product for them. And so, a large amount of the consumers do use seeking for cannabinoids for pain relief, for example. And we want to be able to educate the consumer and work with them as an advisors. So so that way they'll be able to choose the right product. And so if, as you can see here, 56% of according to this study, right, 56% of the consumers, thank you, are incorrect, or they don't know the difference between even CBD and THC. So that's going to be one of our goals as well, to explain and provide the right information to our customers. And also, most of the customers think that because of a product has hemp, it also causes effects such as being high or relaxed and sleepy. So that's going to be a part of our strategy to be able to educate our consumers. If you want to add anything else.
Yeah, we can scroll.
Okay. And so one of the things that, we want to make sure that our customers understand and they have, a connection with us is through trust. So we want to make sure that they trust our products, they trust our brand, and when they come to our store, they love the experience, and that makes them come back and see us again. So and most of the time, if you go look for a product, you might pick something that you're already familiar with, that you've used before. So usually, 54% of the people do that way. Another way of you getting choosing a product comes through family recommendation or a friend. And in our case, that, it's a number that I like to see. It's through bud tender recommendation, which is at 41%. And that's, the purchasing decision, that's what it comes to play, us being able to provide that knowledge and making sure that the consumer is somehow connected to us through that as well. So that I think that's very important for our bud tenders to recommend the right product. And so as part of our marketing plan, we have, we plan to attend events and conferences.
When they open again.
When they open it again. Well, right now we have, online, virtual.
Online.
So attend business industry associations, use a lot of social media. And, one of the things is using our bud tenders to provide that information and use our customers as, word of mouth, for example, to say that, they went to the store, they liked our products. So that's some of the strategies that we have.
Or also to add a tip that Tim shared with us was to look into hiring bud tenders with strong social media followings so that we can amplify our marketing through them.
And so, so this is a list of projects that we have. For today, we're focusing on Berkeley dispensary and Taunton dispensary. I would like to, have find a partner or an investor that would be willing to do more than just the initial two projects that we have in our hands right now. And I'll be happy to discuss and go over all the projects that we have.
And also, we've been speaking about retail. However, we think that cultivation and manufacturing are very important to build a sustainable cannabis company, which is why we chose to embark on building a vertical company. So what we've learned as we've been meeting potential investors is that investors typically gravitate towards the retail projects and shy away from the cultivation projects. However, we've brought them both to the table together, and we believe that's the way that they work best, is cultivation and retail hand in hand. So we're most interested in working and developing relations with investors that can help us develop the whole vertical rather than just bits and pieces of it.
Okay, so let's see here. And so this is the financial projections, and basically in 2021.
For two dispensaries,
oh, yeah, go
right?
ahead, yeah.
Yeah, you can continue. Just these are for the first two dispensaries that are under construction right now.
So we have in 2021, the projections is about 1.8 million. For 2022 is at 3.9, and also at 2023 we estimate at 5.2.
And the goal here is to start out with good returns, but actually for the company to experience growth for several years after we open, to really take our place in the market, and not only to source our customers from the immediate locality where we're located, but also to differentiate ourselves through product selection, to encourage customers to drive past the dispensaries in the cities where they live and visit ours.
So the offering is, we're asking for $1 million for those two dispensaries, and we are open for that or equity. But like Louis said previously, we would love to have somebody to partner with that will be also interested in cultivation.
Yeah, and and the purpose of the $1 million would be to specifically finish the construction and open two dispensaries that are provisionally licensed in Massachusetts, which means that they're licensed. However, the state has to inspect the security system and before they give the final license to open. So the plan is for a March opening for the first one and to follow up in maybe April or May for the second opening.
All right. Thank you for your time, and I'd love to hear any questions.
Yep. Thank you.
Very awesome, guys. Thank you for that. Cute couple too, by the way. Does look great together. Actually, there's aside from a question, there's actually a suggestion here, and you may want to follow up on this, but came in both in the chat and in the question and answer. So again, I'll remind you, if you have a question, go ahead and use the Q&A at the bottom of your app. You can type your question in. We're going to read those out loud to be answered. We're going to try to look at the chat, but that's how you really cue us what your questions are. The suggestion is comes from Karen Rands, and she asks, have you contacted Canopreneur Partners? They actually fund dispensaries in both a combination equity and debt, and she can actually connect you with them. So I recommend checking the chat. You guys can share information or even talk in the networking meeting that follows. So remember, again, after this, after all these presentations, you'll also be able to join our networking where you can meet with the companies individually and speak, and you can have more time one-on-one, and you'll be able to be on camera and mic and everything. So our first question here comes from David O'Brien, and David O'Brien's question is, are you developing all of these retails and planning to operate them all, or just opening 3 and then selling the rest? So what's your plan? What's your strategy here?
Great. So the plan is actually not to sell dispensaries. And in Massachusetts, there is a ownership rule where one person or entity cannot own or hold greater than 10% or greater interest per dispensary. So what that means is Flavia can only own 3 dispensaries, and I could potentially own 3 dispensaries. The plan as of right now is that my mother is actually Flavia's partner. I'm just her husband and babysitter. So without getting into the exacts, my mother is going to have 3 dispensaries. My wife's going to have 3 dispensaries. And then we've already helped the female minority social equity company with a provisional license for her dispensary. And we're working on helping an economic empowerment company with another dispensary. And so, and we cannot hold more than 9.9% interest in anything greater than 3 dispensaries. So yeah, the plan is to work with family and other social equity participants and have a cultivation facility that can supply everybody.
Excellent. Maybe you could explain for the audience a little more about this social equity and what the significance is for that. And I encourage you, if you have other questions, please put your questions in the Q&A, type your question in so we can get those answered. Can you explain for our audience the social equity and what that means? What does that mean, social equity for a cannabis company?
Sure. So a big part of legalization, which was actually like a culture shock for a lot of Americans, was that all of a sudden we were getting the message that cannabis was not bad, it's not wrong, and it should have never been illegal. And so what we found was that a lot of people were persecuted and prosecuted for cannabis when it was illegal. So there are movements now that are going hand in hand with legalization efforts throughout the country to also make exceptions for people who were harmed by the war on drugs. We know from looking at arrest statistics in Massachusetts that minorities were targeted for drug arrests in specific neighborhoods and cities. So the state of Massachusetts has made a social equity program That's intended to reduce the barriers towards licensing for applicants that qualify for these social equity programs. There are different ways that a company could qualify. And a lot of people are confused because the state's gone back and forth on the process. However, Flavia qualifies because she's married to me, and she cited a drug arrest that I had for 2 1-gram bags of marijuana when I was 18 years old, getting pulled over by the state police because my exhaust was too loud, and I got my my first drug arrest. So yeah, he had somebody else pulled over, and I should have just not revved the gas. So now, years later, Flavia was able to cite that, and she's able to gain expedited license review with the state licensing body, and also reduced fees, and also what else, Flavia?
Delivery.
Oh, home deliveries.
Home deliveries,
So,
which is exclusive to social equity.
yes, and I think I recognize David O'Brien might be associated, if it's the same David O'Brien in Massachusetts, might be associated with the Mass Cannabis Association, which was supporting those home deliveries. Yeah, that is Dave. How you doing, Dave? Nice to see you. So his organization took a stance to support this change in the rules, which gives a 3-year priority period for social equity companies to start with exclusivity for home deliveries. And also they have the ability, like Flavia has dispensaries, but other companies who were not able to get dispensaries are able to now rent a warehouse space, purchase cannabis wholesale, and then sell that to direct retail home delivery sales. So it's really exciting right now to see a large amount of people who are shut out of the industry able to now take part in it. There is a lawsuit because there's another dispensary association that is suing, and it's like the polar opposite to David O'Brien's association. They're very upset about the delivery rules, and they're suing. So we feel like because we have the dispensaries, we're not going to be affected by the lawsuit, but we hope the best for all the other equity companies. And yeah, if anybody has any other questions on social equity, you could. And there were two. Okay, should I jump to another question, Tim, or would you like to?
Yeah, let me go ahead and let me read the question here. So as the questions are coming in, I'm looking at the questions as they're coming in, and some of them are just comments, just from Steve. He says, great pitch. As a fellow cannabis startup in the process of raising, he applauds you for just diving in.
Thank you.
You got your own equity and sweat equity in, so I applaud you as well. We're looking forward to seeing you be able to open these doors.
Thank you.
Is there other questions that we have from our audience? I'm going to kind of scan the chat. We can kind of look.
I did see two. There was one about the ski resort in Maine called Sugarloaf. So
the original idea for the name Sugarloaf is actually because I was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and one of the sightseeings there, it's called Pão de Açúcar, which means sugar loaf in English. And so the actual name of the company, it's Locomotion Cannabis Company, and that's going to be our the name of the DBA.
Doing business as. Yes. So
which sounds more attractive than LMCC.
Yes. So yeah, we're not sure on if there's going to be a complication with Sugarloaf Mountain. This is Sugarloaf Cannabis. So I guess that's, we'll keep our fingers crossed. But I think there are a lot of companies throughout the country, because of the fragmentation with the federal being federally illegal to conduct cannabis business, that we're seeing, like when we were researching names for the cannabis company, we would find other states where more than, California and Colorado might both have the company with the same name. So we were seeing that was an issue. And so, yeah, we hope for the best. We hope Sugarloaf Mountain doesn't sue us. And yeah, And then there was a, oh,
You're gonna let him.
okay, go on, Tim.
He wants to take over.
Sure, Louis, I think let's make sure we get you in touch with a good trademark attorney so that you're not.
Yeah, that would help. And I mean, we picked the names for our children after they're born. So we had one that what was it? Oh, more than a month.
It was a month later, yeah.
Yeah, we have our 1-year-old. We picked the name a month after he was born. So it's yeah, it could change.
I think that's normal. Actually, I have a brother-in-law with the official name on his birth certificate as Boy. So same type of things happen. I think that we couldn't decide on a name. So I don't think you're not. Are you married to the name Sugarloaf?
No, we like it though, but
Because I was also planning to use the concept of the store,
yeah, the store has like a Rio de Janeiro tropical theme with the design inside. That's the plan. Even the marble is from Brazil, actually, that we're using.
Very cool.
but things
Well, we
can
have
change.
a couple more minutes. We have time for maybe one more question. If you have a question, please ask. And so also I want to, Flavia and Louis, direct you to look at the chat. Karen Rands has put her contact info for you there so that you can contact her and get some connections too as well. And
We have met Canopreneur partners though, just to answer her question.
okay,
And we
great.
appreciate that she could help introduce us. I think somebody did she mention that? Or, but yeah, okay. Thank you, Tim.
And so I think that's our time. I think we'll go through the Q&As that are here. We'll just that's our time for the questions. Now I want to get on to our next presenter. Thank you very much for taking time out and presenting to us today.
Thank you.
Very interesting and exciting for you guys. So our next presentation is from John Copolino. He is the COO and founder of Tigris. Tigris is a technology and manufacturing and licensing company that has developed new patented chemistries. Their vision is to better everything by replacing hazardous chemistries with safer, less toxic alternatives across a wide variety of applications in multiple vertical markets. John, I hope I didn't steal your thunder. The show is yours.
I appreciate it. First of all, thank you for taking the time, Tim. Excited to be here. And I want to thank everybody for taking some time in the middle of the day to learn about something that's a little different than your typical technology. When you think about, whoop, here we go. When you think about chemistry, the first thing you think about is all these nasty chemicals. And one of the things we quickly realize with new chemistry is chemistry supports our way of life. Without chemicals, we couldn't support 8 billion people on the planet. Chemicals are in the food we eat, the medicine we take, the crops we grow, the cars we drive, and the homes we live in. So the problem with chemicals is there's side effects. And if you start thinking about all the reasons we use chemicals, you think about our food supply, and it's a big issue today, global food security. Well, there's tremendous amount of hazardous chemicals typically used in the food supply. It's used in industry. You have things like sulfuric acid spills that can shut down a town. So you need chemicals, but at the same time, you need a way to alleviate some of these side effects. So imagine if you could, for instance, increase food supply without using harmful pesticides. Imagine if you could kill the COVID virus without using harmful disinfectants, or manufacture personal care products without toxic preservatives. Well, now you can. We've discovered new sustainable low toxicity acid and low toxicity base. So we basically have discovered and created 2 new chemistries. One's an acid, one's a base. They literally have thousands of applications in vertical markets from agriculture to biotech to cleaning. And in fact, we were recently granted patents on both this acid and the base. And sometimes things like that sound a little too good to be true. And because we now have patents in place, we built a brand new factory, and we recently signed some seven-figure licensing deals. We've actually been able to validate the technology and take it to market. So what is Tigris? We're a technology manufacturer and licensing company. Our business model is really simple. All we're looking to do is find strategic partners that we could then leverage their infrastructure and provide them a chemistry or an acid or base that would replace their hazardous chemical. So a great example of that is one of our licensing partners is one of the leading food cleaning companies in the food industry. They clean plants like Conagra and Tyson Foods. And typically you would use an acid called peracetic acid, which is prevalent in the industry, does a great job killing bacteria and viruses, but certainly has some downside. And when one of the owners of AFCO saw the possibilities of replacing peracetic acid with our product, they quickly signed a licensing contract with us. And the way our license works is the beauty of the product is it only takes a few drops to create a formulated disinfectant. So imagine you only have to use one drop of our product, 98% water. There's a couple other ingredients, and now you've formulated a disinfectant that can do everything from kill bacteria, kill viruses. And in fact, we had it tested against the COVID virus, and we were extremely effective against COVID. We tested that through Dr. Anthony Atala at Wake Forest, who's one of the top regenerative medicine scientists in the world at the Wake Forest Institute of Regenerative Medicine. And we successfully killed COVID in less than a minute for things like disinfecting and hand sanitizing. And we killed it at a 5-log reduction. So what's the business model and how do you make money with these chemistries? Well, first of all, to build a factory, which we've already completed and is up and running, we can build a factory anywhere in the world for under $2 million. What that factory generates is gross profit margins of over 80% and EBITDAs of 40 to 60%. So imagine for $2 million, you can be in business generating those types of margins and that type of cash flow. You know, typically those margins and cash flow are associated with biotech and pharma companies that would cost $1 billion to get a drug to market. And then the other beauty of this technology is a platform chemistry. So there are literally hundreds of applications in agriculture, cleaning, and biotech that allow you basically a lot of bites at the apple with the same technology. Of course, in order to get credibility, you have to have the top doctors and scientists in the world. And we are a mission-driven company, and we're looking to impact the world in a positive way. Just on the food side alone in agriculture, we look to grow more crops and provide more food. So one of the things we've done is we've attracted some of the top doctors and scientists in the world. The Honorable Dr. Stephen L. Johnson was the former head of the EPA under George Bush. He was a cabinet member. He's a friend and been an advisor to the company since inception and guides us in all of our regulatory issues and also for business, you know, from an overall business standpoint. I already talked about Dr. Anthony Atala. He's the director and founder of the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. And Dr. Atala is working on multiple biotech type applications, which we'll talk about. Robert Gallion is an advisor to the company. He built the largest battery company in the world, CATL. He's working with us with some of the top universities, including Kentucky, Indiana, and Ball State and Purdue, doing additional R&D. Dr. Greg Voss started the Voth Institute, University of Chicago. He is the leading thought. He's the leading scientist when it comes to this type of new chemistry. And Dr. Boris Manahoff, who's a scientist and one of the leaders in battery technology and has led our battery team as we've developed this technology as a potential replacement for sulfuric acid in manufacturing paste for acid-lead batteries. Once again, we were very, very fortunate, and through Dr. Atala's relationships, we were able to get our product tested through the CDC at a level 3 lab in Manassas, Virginia, that ended up getting those significant results on killing COVID. And we are now working throughout the world looking to get licensing contracts in addition to the first 2 we signed. And we're negotiating with companies and strategic partners on every continent. One of the big applications for the product is obviously hard surface cleaning and disinfecting and hand sanitizing. This category is driven right now by COVID. You've seen huge increased use of these products worldwide. So we're looking to use COVID almost as the platform to talk about our sustainable application. So we have a sustainable replacement for typical disinfectants that would be used in killing various viruses and bacteria. And like I had said earlier, this past year we did 3.5 million in revenue. 3 million of that was through licenses with companies that are leading companies in food and industrial cleaning. We also signed a license with a market leader in Australia and New Zealand. So we have licensing in place in the EU, North America, Australia, New Zealand, and also talking to many other markets. One of the more interesting applications is in agriculture. Our acid can be added at very low dilution rates to irrigation systems when growing crops, including cannabis. And we've done a tremendous amount of work in those areas. In fact, this past year, we tested on 42 field trials in 6 states on 13 different crops. And just in soybeans alone, we've seen averages in the 10 to 15% yield range by increasing crop yield just by adding a very small percentage of our acid to the irrigation systems. So we've seen lettuce, potatoes, soybeans, sugar beets, tomatoes, sunflowers, cannabis, all with increased yield being done in a very sustainable way. And nothing better than a few pictures. This was lettuce grown hydroponically. Obviously on the left, that was done typically how they would grow lettuce. They changed nothing in their grow cycle and in their process. The only thing they did to capture the yield increase on the right was add our acid called Growthful. And here's another example of 2 other lettuces. And you can see even in the roots, you can see tremendous increases in root growth. So as we look in 2021, what we're really looking at is significant revenue opportunities in agriculture, in industrial cleaning and disinfecting. And then we also have 3 other subsidiaries that are in R&D but are moving along very quickly. One we already talked about was the battery subsidiary. That, due to COVID, was pretty much shut down this past year, and we moved resources because the large lead battery companies kind of shut down a lot of their R&D for new innovative opportunities. The personal care side, we have the ability to take purified water that would typically be used in creating skincare products and cosmetics, treat that water, put in the ingredients, and then not need the potential preservatives that would typically be used to extend shelf life to 3 years. So we are in the process now of working with some leading personal care companies. They have now gotten through the R&D process, and we're in the process of hopefully setting up some revenue opportunities for the second half of next year. And then one of the more exciting opportunities with Dr. Atala is we've explored 3 different applications in biotech. One is in medical device sterilization, where we have a much less corrosive product that allows you then to sterilize various medical devices, including catheters, and help mitigate the potential spread of infections in hospitals. A second is this chemistry is very good on the wound care side and healing. We've done a lot of testing, and we're in the process of filing a 510K, which will allow us to launch a antimicrobial wound and skincare wash. And then third, we're in the process of starting clinical trials offshore on using our chemistry as a therapeutic for killing COVID in the lungs. So you would inhale it in a nebulizer and potentially have the possibilities of treating COVID patients once they begin developing symptoms, both pre-hospital and once they're in the hospital. And that's in process as we speak. So when you think about Tigris, we have 2 main focuses of commercialization right now, one in the cleaning side, one in the ag tech side. We have 3 areas of development: biotech, personal care, and in battery, with a focus on biotech as we speak. If you look at the historical capital formation, we've raised about $12 million to date. We recently converted all of our debt to equity at $477 a share. So if you look at our cap table, we brought our first 3 million in at about $1.28. Our next 3 million came in at $1.82. Our next 2.5 million came in at 378, and the most recent conversion in equity coming into the company is at 476. Out of that $3 million round, $1 million has already converted from debt into that round. We have about $1 million that is either funded or in the process of funding, and there's about 900,000 left in this round. Once this round is complete, we will then turn around and do a $5 to $10 million round, obviously at a much higher valuation, and we'll wait until we have the clinical trial results, which should occur in the next 60 to 90 days. If you look at shares outstanding right now, there's about a little less than 20 million shares outstanding. That makes your valuation fully diluted about $100 million. We have about 2 million warrants. Our use of proceeds moving forward primarily is in the IP regulatory and testing. We'll continue to do additional testing to get more data. We'll continue to apply for regulatory approvals in agriculture, cleaning, and biotech. And then, of course, there is no better investment than investing in your IP portfolio. Currently, we have IP granted for our acid and base. We have about 5 or 6 additional patents either granted or we've gotten notice of allowance, which means it'll be granted. And then we have literally dozens and dozens of patents for the various uses that are in process. So why invest in Tigris? Well, first, we've discovered new chemistry that is an acid and a base that has literally thousands of applications. We have immediate international market opportunities that we're currently working on, some of which we've already closed. As we like to say, we've just begun saving the world by adding our product to crops to grow more food, by reducing the amount of hazardous chemicals that are used in our everyday life. We built a great patent portfolio. We have independent testing from some of the top labs in the country validating our technology. Well, that was, we need a little, just give me a second, I apologize. And I should know the last 6, shouldn't I? We have the perfect ingredients for business success. So our business model is a low CapEx, high gross profit margins with many vertical markets. We have a brand new production facility ready to go. We can build another facility anywhere in the world for under $2 million. Ongoing commercialization in multiple markets, a world-class team of advisors, consultants, and people that work for the company. And we have a core team of dedicated professionals. Our management team is second to none. 2 of our chief technical officer and our chief scientists have over 200 patents worldwide between them. So with that being said, I'll open it up for questions. And I apologize for the PowerPoint, playing games a little bit.
Thank you, John. If you could stop sharing.
I'm going to do that right now. Hold on a second. And that was my quick version.
Appreciate that, John. Thank you very much. There are a lot of questions. So again, I remind you, if you have questions, type them into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. There are a lot of questions. I'm going to get to one of our first questions here. It is regarding your IP and your patents. Are your patents pending? Are they patented? Utility patent? Tell us about your patents.
So the 2 core patents, the acid and the base, are both granted and issued 14 months ago. And so the core technology is patented and granted. The utility patents, we have 4 or 5 for various applications that have either been granted or we have received notice of allowance, which means they're soon to be granted. And then we have dozens of patents that are in various processes, either pending or in the process of being filed, and all the way up and down the spectrum.
Excellent. Thank you, John. Another question here from Gaetano. Who is your ultimate targeted client? So who's your target customer, really? What's your ultimate target customer?
So our business model is really simple. We're not looking to build big infrastructure and build $100 million of overhead a year. we are looking to target leading companies in each of these industries. So leading agricultural companies, cleaning companies, disinfecting companies, pharmaceutical companies. And our goal is always to make their products better. Our company mantra is better everything. So we feel by using our chemistry, we can replace ingredients that have hazardous characteristics or maybe don't work quite as well with a product that will work better and make for a better finished product. So to give you an example, if we went to say Estee Lauder, we could say to them, look, you have your Clinique line. We could help you relaunch a Clinique line with no preservatives. So we're not looking to bring products to market necessarily, although there may be times where we would consider that. In general, we're looking for leading brands and manufacturers to make their product better.
Excellent. I know there are a lot of questions. Gaetano specifically had a lot of questions. I would encourage you, if you have a lot of questions and you want to speak one-on-one, to attend the networking meeting following this. We're going to provide the link in the chat. You'll be able to join the networking meeting or contact, all the contact information will be available on our website in the following week. You can always contact directly as well if you have a lot of questions. I want to give an opportunity for others to ask some questions as well. I have a question from Erica Feinberg. The question is, does it work with electrostatic sprayers or qualify as a sanitizer? And then also on secondary to that, how would you compare in pricing to a HOCI?
So from a pricing standpoint, we are very competitive. Our goal is to always be at market or below and still provide that additional value proposition, being a more sustainable alternative. When you look at our testing, our product shows that it has efficacy against most viruses and bacteria. In order to make kill claims, you need to be registered with the EPA. As I said earlier, Dr. Stephen L. Johnson is our consultant, advisor, and friend who is helping us through that process. So we're working to get our product listed as an active disinfectant so that we can make kill claims in the US. We're also working on similar regulatory approvals worldwide. In fact, we just got approved in one of the countries in Asia, but we're working in South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, etc.
Excellent. Thank you, John. So question from Steve Bressel. Is your product effective on mold?
Yeah, it's very effective on mold. In fact, that's one of the targets that one of our strategic partners who we signed a licensing deal with is working on to bring into Home Depot.
As a question to your business model, thanks for that answer, John. Question to your business model for licensing of your product. Can you walk us through what's a typical licensing charge for your product?
So typically, if I'll give you an example. We signed a non-exclusive license for industrial cleaning for North America and Europe. And that license, I won't give the exact amount, but it was well above 7 figures. And then we get a 10% royalty on any finished product. So typically our license, because you use so little of the product, is a cost up front and then an ongoing royalty against wholesale costs. So I'll give you an example. The cleaning company sells a $20 gallon to Tyson Foods to clean one of the lines. We would make $2 a gallon on that wholesale price. So it's typically some money up front, a royalty ongoing with some minimum requirements in order to keep the license. If it's exclusive, then the cost may be higher.
Excellent. I think some of the other questions here might have been just related to the overall presentation. I know it seems like talked a lot about cleaning, but you did mention all the other industry uses. So maybe just can you quickly remind our audience what other industry uses that you have for commercialization?
One of our challenges, it's kind of the yin and the yang of our technology. We have so many applications that you literally got to really focus in and hone on where the opportunities are short term while having a long-term plan in the R&D side. So short term, we have already begun commercializing in the agricultural space. We did about $350,000 in revenue this past year. We anticipate doing at least a few $1 million this year, both domestically and internationally. So agriculture for both crop yield. And then one of the things I didn't mention is we also have a preservative element to our product. So we literally can extend shelf life of fruit and vegetables with a post-harvest wash. And we think that's a big opportunity. And then one additional application that I did not speak of is we've done some work with one of the leading potato growers in the country who sells fresh cut potatoes to be used in French fries. They typically have about a 20-day shelf life, cryovac and gas flushed. We were able to increase their shelf life by 40 days. And that product now has been approved by US Foods to be delivered through 63 distribution centers. The beauty of that is the French fries taste better, they last longer, and most importantly, by going from frozen to refrigerated distribution, you're lowering your carbon footprint. So you're saving money and doing you're also impacting the environment, and certainly it ties right into our sustainability message.
Amazing, John. So certainly a lot of uses for your product. Thank you very much for giving us this presentation today. Again, remind you, if you want to speak with John or Flavia or Louis, who have already presented, we will have the networking meeting to follow. So I encourage you to join that. After this, we'll be putting that link in the chat. We'll also have that link is also available on the Linked Ventures website, www.linkedventures.net. If you go to the Investor Spotlight, there is a link to the networking meeting there. Again, I remind you, don't click on that link right away, because you're going to leave this webinar to go to that networking meeting, which none of us will be there yet. So our next presentation, thank you very much, John Copolino, co-founder and COO of Tigris. Our next presentation is with Simon Legel, co-founder of Driftless Extracts. And I apologize, Simon, I get the name wrong. It's Simon Legal, co-founder of Driftless Extracts. Driftless Extracts is a hemp solutions provider located in the heart of the Driftless region of southern Wisconsin. Their vision is to revitalize local agricultural with hemp as a centerpiece to a renewable future. They continue to bring leading edge technology to their facilities as they build services to support their grower network. Driftless has positioned itself in the marketplace for multiple renewable hemp products, including packaging, fiber composites, extracts, powders, and seed oils. The show is yours, Simon.
Thanks, Tim. I want to thank everybody for giving me a few minutes. Driftless was founded a couple of years ago, and the ultimate goal of the company is to really drive renewable materials in order to achieve aggressive climate carbon targets that the world stage has set out for us. It's still a really immature process, and it's still a really immature industry. And we knew that there was an opportunity that was provided with cannabinoids in 2019. That was really the first production season that Wisconsin was really allowed to participate. And so our group, the founders all have professional backgrounds, and we set up a 3-phase plan where we could capitalize on cannabinoids early and parlay some of those profits into long-term research and development into the fiber plant, and really be one of the real drivers in the Midwest region for renewable fibers. And if you aren't a cash flow business, you really just have a science experiment. And so in order to kind of come forth into the market and be disruptive, we felt we had to build a cash flow business first, and then parlay that into R&D, and then come out with a commercial solution in fiber. In order to do that, we decided we needed to build a high performance team and push both initiatives basically at the same time. The first target everyone knows about, the cannabinoid market is estimated to be about $12.4 billion by the year 2023. That is a market that we're already to market in. We're participating in that space, but we've got our eyes on a bigger prize, and that's a $425 billion market by 2027, using agriculture to really drive renewable materials and think in longer terms of fiber packaging and plastics, that we can transition current growers in the, selfishly in the Midwest region, into not just having a tool to grow for food and feed, but also being able to grow hemp as a cultivation crop, take rotation slots out of traditional row crops, and grow for long-term packaging as well. The founders group that we have, it's a kind of a family oriented story. So my dad, Ed Legal Sr., he's on the right there. He's got a master's in soils from UW-Madison. He ran the University of Wisconsin Soil Lab for 6 years. He's been a certified agronomist throughout this state and in the Midwest for the last 40. He's kind of really important to our growth trajectory in the next handful of years. His grower network is about 70,000 acres, and he provides long-term recommendations on nutrient management plans, seed, genetics, fertility, and it'll allow us to really push fiber production long-term. It doesn't work. You can't grow fiber at 1 or 2 acres at a time. You have to grow it in thousands of acres to get enough raw material and enough feedstock into your manufacturing facility. It's a commodities-based business to start, and you have to have a really good, robust row crop infrastructure and row crop network to really drive production. He'll allow us to really put it on a lot of acres really quickly, and additionally drive the economics down. The lower we can get the raw material to decortication, the better chance we have of pushing it up the supply chain and really converting manufacturers. On the left there is Ed Legal. He's my older brother, so there's 2 Eds on the team. Ed's a structural engineer by trade. He ran a team of about 50 engineers in Madison, Wisconsin, big breakwater projects all around the world, lots of projects in mining and gas. Ed brings a pretty corporate atmosphere to our team. Works really well with our attorneys on contract language, so on and so forth. Mike there right next to him, Mike Bindle's got a software engineering degree. He worked on safety critical systems and embedded code for about 13 years, worked for Airbus, worked for Boeing, did a lot of work for Avista. Mike's super detail oriented. He kind of leads the teams in compliance, day-to-day QMS, and then delivering on longer term projects for bigger suppliers. Down on the bottom there were the 2 finance guys. So my name's Simon. I'm the middle brother of 3. Sam there is on top. I have a background in VC and private equity and also in day-to-day money management. So I come from the capital market world. We funded the company thus far with a number of different high net worth individuals, and our job is to make sure that Driftless has the resources that it needs to kind of push into these markets and go aggressively after market share. We do have two individuals on our advisory board. Josh Hendricks is a former executive of CV Sciences. It's a publicly traded CBD company. He was a founding member of the Hemp Roundtable. So the Hemp Roundtable, for those of you that don't know, is the premier lobbying body in the space. Josh and Senator McConnell were kind of key of getting not only the 2014 bill, but the 2018 Farm Bill, getting it across the line. He's partnering with the Hemp Authority to actually deliver statutes and standards, which would require FDA to provide guidance and regulate the industry. It's something we're desperate for in order to legitimize the industry and really allow demand to mushroom. Josh, we recently, we added him to the advisory board in Q4 of 2020. We recently brought him on full time. Todd Wagner also is part of the board, and he's a former business development or VP of business development at Eurofins North America. They're one of the preeminent testers in the hemp and CBD space. Todd allows us to really lever his knowledge in quality management, but also, a lot of the bigger groups that are in the hemp and the CBD space rely on Eurofins for test results. So he's made warm introductions to really large groups to allow us to kind of jump off on offtake agreements. So just a bit of history, a 3-phase business plan. The first business plan was the first phase was to build a cash flow cannabinoids business. We've done that. 29 USDA certified organic products to market. We've got roughly 59% margin. That's a mean number through all the products. We've had really good success transitioning current brands into an organic product. So providing them a full turnkey solution to switch over to a certified organic product without having to interrupt their current supply chain. All the systems we build are continuous feed to really drive down operational expenditures. And this is important to us. The processing equipment we have on the agriculture side already classifies the plant into multiple products. So we're getting clean herd separation and clean bass separation along with flower and leaf material. That allows us to really develop 3 different markets all at the same time. We've got a pretty long range plan of a dual crop future. Flower and fiber here works in Wisconsin and it works well. It'll drive down the cost per acre on the cannabinoid side, but also allow the fiber producers to have more revenue off each acre of crop. Everyone thinks that fiber is going to work all over the world and it's going to work in every category and on every single acre, and they're just wrong. you have to compete for traditional row slots with traditional conventional corn. It doesn't work on 250 bushel per acre corn. It really only works magically between 150 and 180 bushels per acre. So how can we really drive penetration? The way to do that is to give growers multiple crops to capitalize on. Few images of some of the cultivations we've done in the past. You can see big professional agriculture, GPS guidance, all mechanical. We don't really do anything by hand. Some images from the first facility we built out. This is already at scale. This is for, we built this in mind for club pack producers. Think Costco, Walmart, Sam's Club. When they want to do a white label retail brand of their own, they need a really large partner that can bring in big cultivation, all of the same size, and essentially harvest it at the same window. That's all the same variety. That'll all come through on the distillate in the end. And we need to make sure it's really, really consistent, and we can do it in pretty large scale. The second facility that we're building out now is our headquarters. Both of these two facilities are agriculture, and our current headquarters are long-term lease to owns. The headquarters that I'm actually speaking out of today, it's about 10,000 square. The municipality that we're in actually owns the building. They built it in the middle of the Great Recession. It was finished in 2012. It won the 2012 Green Tech Award. It's got a large solar system, a big geothermal heat system. But they were kind of in a pinch. They don't have a ton of takers for the building. It's a beautiful building, but we're in a town of about 800 people. And so we negotiated a pretty aggressive contract on this. If you just give us a simple 6% cap rate, we negotiated essentially 45% market rate purchase lock. So we can purchase the building for $1 million. In addition to that, 75% of all lease payments we make from now until 2026 will credit back towards that purchase price, essentially giving us an option to purchase the building in 2026 for $250,000. Additionally, the ethanol system that we're building out here, they've worked with us to help get a solution to excise tax. For those of you that don't know, in extraction, using certified organic ethanol is a great solution for those that want an organic product, but there's an excise tax associated with it. So we can get big bulk ethanol for $8 a gallon. The excise tax is $27. Municipalities are given an automatic exemption from excise tax, which they actually don't even need to file with the IRS. So they've allowed us to really lease ethanol directly from them, and they'll maintain the purchase agreement. We built out an ingredients side of the business to really allow other brands to kind of convert to an organic brand. Internally, we knew we needed our own product as well. We did a pretty robust market analysis, hired a brand consultant, and this is what we came forward with. Everything was built the same way that we saw. Typically neutral or female dominated brands, more towards the granola higher end clientele. We kind of worked in reverse. So we decided we wanted to work with an essential worker and build something that everybody could purchase and price it where we can go for large volume and still maintain margin for the retailer. The first 4 products you see to market are on the screen here. Powder coat is a body powder. We've got a traditional tincture. We've got a cream called elbow grease, and we've got a coffee product to market as well that's called Daily Grind. The idea behind Workman's Relief is to target everyday essential workers around the globe and really bring them the highest quality products. So, our tincture is a good example. It's got 3,000 milligrams of CBD. Our closest competitor in the demographic, we feel like, is a company called Global Widget. They make a brand called Hemp Bombs. Their 3,000 milligram tincture sells for $170. Ours sells for $39.99. Ours is certified organic. Theirs uses isolate. We just have a lot better product to market than they do. And we feel like we want to set a price that we're not going to have to lower. All the other brands are going to have to come to us. We still have 200% margin through that product to market just because we're vertical. So we're here to disrupt the space. We're going after market share, and we're doing it in a way that we're trying to tap into a demographic that hasn't been serviced yet. And it fits in a lot of different categories. We're excited to announce this kind of change since the last time I presented to Tim's group. The terms are finalized. We are launching with our first distributor, a 1,500 store distributor across the country. That brand launch is the 1st of March. In addition, we've added 3 more distributors, which are currently doing due diligence on the brand. So we launched the brand on August 1st. We're in about 125 locations throughout the Midwest. But we've got our eyes on a bigger prize. And we're excited to announce our first brand launch with our first distribution partner, and we anticipate there's many more to come. So that's really phase one of our plan. That's build a cannabinoid business. But again, phase two and phase three are all built around fiber. And so we want to do the same. We want to work at the same pace in fiber that we're working in the cannabinoid business. And so we filed for our own internal 501c3. It's called the Wisconsin Hemp Technology Accelerator Program. And that's really designed to take public funding and tax exempt funding, do research in-house, and then come forward with a commercial product or project. We want to use laboratory type settings to develop products here and then provide kind of the roadmap for other industries to start utilizing raw material. In addition, we want to come forth with a large scale decortication, spinning, spooling, and weaving facility that'll be a kind of a first of its kind in the Midwest. There are 2 projects in the United States that are going in right now. They're both currently funded. One's in Texas, one's in Montana. The Mid-Atlantic, the Midwest, and out East, they're still open targets for production. So we brought on a guy by the name of Trey Riddle to really administer our 501c3 and shepherd our fiber story. Trey's got an amazing background. You know, he's a PhD from Montana State. He's developed multiple patents using plant materials and sustainable composites. He did that at both Cornell and Montana State. He ran his own fiber and composite company called Sunstrand. And Trey is actually the lead consultant on the project in Montana. So Trey is really administering our 501c3 and then providing us a come to market strategy, a feasibility study, and a robust yield analysis, all in 2021. In addition, we're going to install a pilot line decorticator in our ag facility that's about 15 miles from the facility I'm in today. And that'll actually provide raw materials to future customers and essentially industry that we want to start converting. We're not going to be able to convert plastic manufacturers overnight. If we can just start converting 1 or 2 or 3% of some of their product lines, the story will catch on, and they'll be able to tell their customers that they're participating in a sustainable story. You know, it's a lot like electric vehicles. 10 years ago, there was really one company doing anything in the sustainable electric vehicle market. Over the last 24 months, we've seen equity markets just go bananas over electric vehicle manufacturing. We think sustainable materials is going to follow a similar track. It's going to be required for climate targets. In addition, we've had representatives from DoD on site 2 different times. They presented us with a collaborative research and development agreement. The Department of Defense, the group that's looking at us is called TACOM. They want to partner in research with us. It's part of Light Tactical Vehicle Division, and they're looking for a number of things, but 2 things that they've told us kind of resonate. Number 1, they need a domestic supply chain. Everything has to be produced here. COVID kind of accentuated that, but that's been a DoD requirement for a long time. Additionally, they think that Congress is going to legislate much like the European Union has and require materials to be sourced sustainably, and at least a percentage of them to be sourced sustainably. They don't know when that legislation is coming, but they're trying to map out their supply chain to be able to fit that mold when that comes. We feel like we're a really likely candidate for this specific division. These are made only a couple hours from our facility, and they want to partner on research. So additionally, we co-sponsored a grant with a group called Hana Dynamics. That's for a hemp composite for the U.S. Navy, and DoD and a couple others provided a warm introduction to Ford Motor Company with us in about this time last year. If you get anything out of our presentation today, it's this. You know, this is what we want to do. This is Driftless Future. Yeah, we like the cannabinoid market. You can make a cash flow business, but the market we don't think is really big enough. The opportunity we want to go after is sustainable manufacturing. It's really, really young yet. It's got a long way to go before it becomes a mature market. But there is a significant opportunity for the players that want to set roots. We want to create clusters of economic development, and we want to do that in rural regions that you can sell the story for economic development grants. You know, here's a marriage between agriculture and manufacturing, and we're giving growers a tool to drive up the price of corn and beans of alfalfa because we're competing for rotation slots in traditional conventional agriculture. A little bit about Driftless, just quick. These are the first 20 months of incorporation. We just plotted the trend lines here for revenue versus expenses. It's a pretty compelling story for a group our size and in the length of time we've been incorporated. We are still a startup, so we have variable costs and we have variable revenue, but both options are obviously are both metrics here are trending in the right direction for us. So the offering itself, we filed for Rule 504. It's a $300 per unit. The minimum is 85 units. It's $1 million round. We've got about 460,000 raised. It's a $12 million pre-money valuation. If you are a state of Wisconsin resident, you do qualify for state of Wisconsin income tax credit. We've got a really robust fundraising history for the company. So we raised 3.25 before this round. We're now at 3.6 and some change. I have pretty good confidence that we'll get the money in sometime in the middle to late next month. But there still is obviously availability in the round. What are we going to use it for? So the majority of it is going to be for two things. The first is CapEx infrastructure. So we're actually installing back-end finishing equipment. Lots of the materials we're to market with for both our contract manufacturing projects and for our own internal retail brand. That's formulation, packaging, distillation, general manufacturing, and remediation. That's about half of the money. The other half, the majority of it is going to go into, we're building out a bigger team. So we're now a team of about 14 employees. We have 4 more sales groups coming online, 2 in the Mid-Atlantic, 1 in California, 1 in Minneapolis, 1 in Chicago. We've got pretty bold plans for Q3 and Q4 of this year and how we're gonna spread that map out. But additionally, a robust advertising and marketing budget. So we're just about to ink in a deal with the group that does all the marketing and advertising for Duluth Trading Company. They've done a tremendous job with that brand. It fits our demographic, and we're real close with them. It'll likely be signed by the end of this month. Just a quick pro forma. The biggest number that I'm super proud of on this is our 2019 EBITDA number. We were positive EBITDA in the first after 9 months of inception. There's not a lot of groups that can do that. You can see how we projected out the revenue. We feel like this is probably conservative, but we're doing that without real robust guidance from the FDA. If we get FDA regulation, I believe these numbers will be significantly larger. With that, I try to do these as fast as I can. Tim has guided me since I started doing this on getting it short and getting to the Q&A. So I'm going to open it up.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for your presentation today. We do have a question coming in.
So the carbon foot. Do you want to read them, Tim, or you want me to?
Yeah, let's look. We have a question here. What's the carbon footprint of the mega grows?
So the beautiful thing about hemp is all of those grows are actually a negative carbon footprint. Hemp is one of the best remediator of soils, but it's also the fastest sequester of traditional row crops. So we're at a carbon negative production. We're pulling carbon out of the atmosphere, growing hemp, and then we're turning that carbon into plant material. The plant material we then push up the supply chain to go into manufactured products. It's a way to take it out of the atmosphere and put it in things instead of pulling it out of the ground and turning it into things.
Sure. Simon, can you stop your share, please?
Oh yeah, you bet.
Thank you so much. It threw me off, I guess. Our next question here is actually the very good question. So anonymous attendee, where can people go to invest?
You can email me direct. I just put my email address in the chat window, or Tim, if you can help guide people to my contact information. I'm lead on capital raising, so I can walk you through. I can get you copies of decks, or if you want to look at offering documents or operating agreements, happy to provide. I'll be the lead contact, so if you can get a hold of me, that'd be the fastest way to do it.
Excellent. And there is also contact information is already published. And I think we'll just get your updated pitch deck. If you could send that to us, we can add that to the site there at linkedventures.net. under offerings, current offerings. So there is contact information, pitch decks, access to deal rooms, everything that you need to be able to get in contact with the presenters here today.
And I encourage you to come see me after the presentation if you want to. I'll be in the what do you call it, Tim?
The networking meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Good. Thank you for reminding me, Simon. We do have the networking meeting. If you want to talk with Simon, you'll also be able to talk with Simon, Flavia, John, all of our presenters here today, including our next presenter. Thank you so much for your presentation. If you have questions, put it in your Q&A at the bottom of your app. You can type your question in. We'll read it audibly. And the questions will be answered. We're trying to look at the chat, but please, that's how you indicate to us you have a question if you put it in the Q&A at the bottom of your app. Also, after the presentations, we're going to have a brief survey and your opportunity to vote on who gave the best presentation here today. If you are considering investing in one of these companies, I encourage you to make that note, put your vote in on who gave the best presentation today, as if you were an investor. If you have additional questions, please put that in. I'm scanning the Q&A and I'm scanning the chat, and I didn't see any additional questions coming in. I thank you for giving this presentation and taking time out of your day, Simon. Our next presenter, we had a little bit of technical difficulty and glad we got that fixed. So our next presenter today is Leah Wallace. She is the Director of Investor Relations at Christina. Christina Development Corporation, known as Christina, is a vertically integrated real estate sponsor and manager founded in 1977 and headquartered in Malibu, California. For over 40 years, Christina has sponsored direct real estate investments in the West Side region of Los Angeles, which includes Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Century City, Malibu, Santa Monica, Westwood, West Hollywood, Venice, and Silicon Beach. They are executing a proprietary and proven strategy focused on tax-advantaged wealth preservation and long-term capital preservation and appreciation. Actually, I want to welcome Vincent Chan, who's filling in for Leah Wallace, who had the technical difficulties, and appreciate it last minute for Vincent Chan, the CFO of Christina, to join us and be able to give the presentation here today. Thank you so much. And floor is yours, Vince.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim. Yeah, my name is Vincent Chan, and I'm the CFO of Christina. I'm joined today by Adam Rosenkrantz as well. He's our Director of Asset Management. So we are excited to share the Christina story, our investment strategy, and this limited opportunity with you guys. So let me do this share screen. All right. So anyways, let's see here. Whoops. Is it working?
Yes, fine.
Okay. Okay, so Christina's real estate investment strategy has been tried and tested for over 4 decades through multiple recessions without a single investment loss. Our strategy is very simple and repeatable. We buy underperforming assets in great locations at a discount alongside an experienced fiduciary, and we enjoy the long-term tax benefits and capital appreciation. Christina is a vertically integrated real estate sponsor and manager. And what that means is we do our own acquisitions, our own development, our own property management, and we secure the financing. We were founded in 1977 and headquartered in Malibu, California. And for more than 40 years, Christina has sponsored direct real estate investments in the West Side region of Los Angeles. And that includes Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Century City, Malibu, Westwood, Santa Monica, Westwood, West Hollywood, and Venice, Silicon Beach. When you invest with Christina, you invest with Larry's 40+ years of experience in one geographic market, again, through multiple recessions without a single investment loss. Larry is an outlier. He's a very creative and independent thinker. He's a self-made real estate entrepreneur with grit. This is what attracted me to Christina. I previously worked at American Homes for Rent, Public Storage, and PS Business Parks. No other real estate has Larry at its helm. This is what makes us truly unique and special. Larry is a great mentor and an inspiration to all of us here at Christina. He has invested heavily in each one of us, and he pushes us to our limits because he is so passionate. Let's see, screen here. Location, location, location. This is our sandbox. We live, breathe, and sleep in our marketplace. This is what we know. This is all we know. We are not trying to be all things to all people. We believe that every investor's portfolio should include real estate. We also believe that every real estate portfolio should include the West Side region of Los Angeles. You know, Christina provides our investors access to this highly desirable marketplace where people want to live, work, and play. The West Side region of Los Angeles continues to attract and fulfill positions in a broad range of creative fields, including entertainment, technology, design, fashion, publishing, education, tourism, health, and science. You know, the West Side region of Los Angeles has excellent year-round weather, and we will be hosting the 2022 Super Bowl, college football's 2023 National Championship game, the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and the 2028 Summer Olympic Games. So with that, I want to turn the presentation over to Adam Rosenkrantz. He's our Director of Asset Management, to go over how we buy properties and how we source them.
Thank you, Vincent. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adam Rosenkrantz, and I'm very pleased to share a little bit about the Christina story and our deal sourcing capabilities, which we believe to be one of our core competitive advantages against our peers. You know, we believe that deals are both found and made. Our deal sourcing network has been cultivated over our 43-year history operating in the West Side region of Los Angeles. And we believe that the only time to buy great real estate is if there's a compelling event-driven situation that is forcing somebody to sell, where we can acquire a property at less than perceived to be market value. These event-driven liquidity events often occur from death, divorce, bankruptcy, partnership disputes, essentially any opportunity for us to acquire a property from somebody who needs to buy. And this has been allowed, we've been able to realize this through our niche focus. We don't operate in Texas, we don't operate in New York, we know our marketplace, and as Vince mentioned, we stay true to our existing sandbox. Everyone has heard of value add, but how many of you have heard of value bought? Value bought comes from being in the money day one. When you acquire a price that's below what perceived fair market value is, you've already enhanced the value and you've already made yourself and your investors money day one. On this screen here, we have the 6 existing real estate investments currently owned by Christina Real Estate Investors IV, and in addition to the 1 property that is currently under contract. Each of these acquisitions represents Christina's embodiment of value bought due to event-driven scenarios. The 4 Hayworth properties were acquired from the family of the original developer and had never been traded since their construction in the mid-1950s and early 1960s. Interestingly enough, Larry actually himself had the sellers at his bar mitzvah when he was 13 years old in Los Angeles. So to show you how small of a world it is and how deep and wide our extensive relationships are, this transaction epitomizes that. Our Pacific property is a beachfront idyllic property in the burgeoning Playa del Rey community, which is in the heart of Silicon Beach. This rare acquisition only became available for the first time in over 60 years since it had been constructed. It has panoramic beachfront views from almost every single unit, and it's a true epitome of West Side real estate. Larrabee is a preeminent property in the West Side region of Los Angeles in the ultra-exclusive West Hollywood submarket. West Hollywood has been a entertainment mecca for many years, and properties north of Sunset Boulevard are both highly desirable, highly sought after, and extremely difficult to entitle. This is a ground-up development where luxury condominium units will be constructed and sold to end users. The final property is in the 3rd Street Shopping District area of West Los Angeles. This property is perhaps our most interesting and compelling opportunity for acquisition, as it has never been traded since its construction in 1928. The relationship with the estate attorney, whom Larry has had a pre-existing relationship with from a prior transaction in a different Christina Real Estate Investors portfolio, had enabled us to acquire this property with really very little competition due to the strong network and relationship that we have cultivated. This is a property that has dual frontage on 3rd and Orlando, and it's right across the street from one of the most prominent hotels in Los Angeles. And obviously the hospitality market has been challenging at the moment, but we believe that the community, and once it's been revitalized and people are back, will only underscore the desirability of this property. Christina believes deeply in taxes, and we are very focused on taxes, and it's really not how much you make, but how much you keep. The Christina 4 Real Estate Investors portfolio is expected to generate significant passive tax losses this year due to bonus depreciation of newly acquired properties. These passive losses can be used to offset passive gains from other investment and minimize your taxes. This slide is a great example of how we minimize taxes within the managed portfolio. Let's say we own 3 properties. Property 1 was recently acquired and will generate significant passive losses due to bonus depreciation in year 1. Property 2 is stabilized, but still generates passive losses due to depreciation. If and when we decide to sell property 3, you will not only pay lower taxes due to long-term capital gain treatment, but we'll also be able to offset most of these capital gains within the managed portfolio from the passive losses generated from property 1 and property 2. Christina has had a long-standing and enduring investment strategy that has propelled our growth for over 40 years, and we believe that this opportunity is a preeminent real estate investing opportunity with a sponsor with a demonstrated track record, unique opportunities to capitalize on dislocation in the market, and we truly believe that there's been no greater time for real estate investment in the West Side region of Los Angeles. After that, I think we can turn it over to question and answer.
Thank you so much. If you could stop sharing your screen, please. Great presentation and a great demonstration of a team. How about that? We actually had a technical difficulty from our original presenter who emailed me last minute to say power and Wi-Fi went out, called on 2 other team members to come in, step in, and give a presentation. So if you're looking for a team that can execute, obviously you have one here, because in a matter of minutes, they managed to execute, and they're all in succinct. So that's very good job. Very great presentation, considering everything you guys had to go through.
I was actually next door. We're renovating our office building. I'm over there with our contractor, and I get called in, and it's like, well, this is what we do. This is what we love.
Yep. You just have to do it. Put the fires out and where they come. The first question here. So a reminder too, if you have a question and you want to type that question and type it into the Q&A at the bottom of your app, and we will read your question out loud, and those will be answered audibly. So our very first question here comes from an anonymous attendee, and their question is, what are your historical IRRs?
Vince, you'd like to take that one?
Yeah, hi, that's a great question. We are very, very cautious. Sorry, we're playing switcheroo here, hot seat here. No, we're very conservative with our internal rate of returns. Real estate is an investment that not only appreciates in value, but you get significant tax benefits along the way, such as deducting depreciation from your building. And those returns are never calculated in an IRR, but historically, we've averaged over 20% net IRR to our investors. And so it's a pretty significant return. We believe it's very low risk because of the marketplace. Again, Larry is a genius, and he's been doing this for a long time. So there's definitely a conservative element to Larry. I think because of where we operate, it's quality assets. It's like buying a bond. It's not going to default. The West Side real estate market is always in demand. We have our ups and downs like every other market, especially during pandemics. But at the end of the day, if you look at the historical real estate prices in our market, it's always been on a up curve. And you can't replace some of these locations. They're not making any more land. So it's just a matter of where you want to live. And, we have the greatest weather, great amenities. And like I said, there's not one property that we've sold in the past that we can never buy back at that sales price. So I think the track record speaks for itself. Again, you get good returns, capital appreciation, and you also get the deductions that come along with owning great real estate. So like I said, better if you get a T-bill, get like 1% money, or you can invest with Christina and get double-digit returns. And the nice thing is that you actually own a tangible asset. And that's something, speaks for itself. You can drive by and go, that building, I own a partial ownership of that building. And so it's pretty satisfying. So we're investors ourselves. The management team invests at least 5% in every deal. So we're definitely in it with you guys and our aligned with you guys.
Excellent, thank you. We have another question too that actually speaks to that geographic region that you're focusing on. Well, if you could answer, what makes West LA more appealing than other geographic areas, or maybe how it compares?
All right, let's do the switcheroo. Adam?
You got it. I think what's kind of been the core benefit of the West Side region of LA is really constant supply and demand imbalance, where there's been an undersupply in relation to the desired space. And that's really been what's driven the consistent rent growth and kept occupancy rates very high as well. Those have been things that have historically very much, been the cornerstone of the West Side region's success, but also you have the best year-round climate, right? At the end of the day, people are looking for desirability of their life and the quality of life as well. And I think those things have underscored it. It's also been an economic hub of activity, and especially with the influx of jobs coming into Silicon Beach, that's been something that's really, revitalized that community as well. So I think, there's been a lot of conjecture about a net migration away from the West Side region, but wait until people who are, on the East Coast and they're freezing their tushes off, they're going to want to come back to the West Side region. And we feel very strong about the underlying demand fundamentals here in the long term and presently.
Excellent, Adam. And I think this question will probably be for you too as well. Does Christina focus on one specific type of property?
We do not. So we are product agnostic, right? We believe that so long as we're operating within the West Side region of Los Angeles, which is really our core competency and our area of focus, we want to be able to capitalize on any attractive buying opportunities that may arise. And what we think is, although you're not going to have diversification within location, we can do diversification within the managed portfolio by product type. We own, multifamily apartments, multifamily condominiums, office space, retail space. So I think that has given us a great degree of diversification. When there's a good deal and there's money to be made, you don't want to limit yourself to one asset class. We've owned, operated every product type over the 40-year history of this company. And, we feel very, very comfortable in maximizing value of any real property, just so long as we can buy it in the right price and the right location.
Excellent. Our next question, I'm thinking you guys might have to do a switcheroo, but or possibly maybe you might be able to have handle this one, Adam, too. And honestly, you may not want to handle this question. This is a question about taxes. This is a question about do you have to actually own other real estate to benefit from the tax shelter strategy?
Sure. Vince?
It's pretty fun. It's like a hot seat again, musical chairs. That's a great question. One of the things about real estate is that, again, it generates significant passive losses. So I think Adam showed an example earlier, but when we buy a property, we allocate the purchase price to land and building. Building we can depreciate. And what that really means that every year you'll get a K1 from our company with an allocation of passive losses. Now, those passive losses can be used to offset other passive income that you get from other passive investments on K1. So if you have other outside investments, like a oil investment, you have passive income, you can use our K1s to offset that. But I think what's even great about our structure is that even within the portfolio, as Adam explained earlier, we can offset gains and losses within the portfolio from different properties. So it's one of those things that if you're not really focused on that, you can really, that's the extra added value. Real estate's a great asset alone by itself, but when you take the tax benefits, it's one of the greatest gifts from the government. And I think it's even better now is that because of the Jobs Act, we're able to market this opportunity to everyone in 50 states where we couldn't do that before. So I think this investment opportunity and what Tim is doing for you guys right now is you guys have a lot of investment decisions to make. And, it's great that we can do this with the Jobs Act where we can present in all 50 states now. This opportunity was never allowed outside the country club membership before that. So it's really exciting to see where things are headed.
Excellent. I'm even looking at the chat and just comments even here just about the great teamwork that you're doing right now. This is just demonstrating the teamwork and just the ability to just answer these questions, hand them off. None of these are pre-prepared or any of that. So we have a question here from an anonymous attendee. Will there be any returns to investors prior to a sale?
Yeah, it's another great question. A lot of real estate investments, you make money off capital appreciation and cash flow. One of our strategies, because we're on the west side, real estate is a lot more expensive because of where it's located. So we're not a big fan of cash flow. We're more a big fan of capital appreciation and tax benefits. But what's amazing, let's say we buy a property that's been undermanaged for many, many years. We go in there, we improve it, we increase net operating income, and what we'll do most likely, we have the opportunity to sell it or we can refinance it. So when you refinance it, it's great because you can monetize the fair value of that asset, and we'll get some cash out, and we'll actually distribute to our investors, before we sell it. And what's great about that is because it's not a sale, it doesn't trigger a capital gain tax. It's a return of your investment. So it's basically you get money back from us, and it shows up in your K1 as a distribution, but you don't pay taxes on it. And that's the magical thing about real estate. You can defer paying taxes as long as you have more investment in your portfolio. So that's a big way a lot of people make money nowadays is, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So again, a sizable distribution from a refinancing is one of the best ways to get cash out of a property deal and not pay taxes on it immediately. So that's a great question. And that's what we try to focus on is how do we return your capital back as soon as possible and not have to pay taxes on it.
Very, very good answer. And this next question really speaks to what is the offer right now? What is Christina's offering right now that you're offering to potential investors?
Yeah, so Christina 4 is still open for investment. We're going to close it shortly. But the nice thing about it is that you're buying into an existing portfolio of 6 assets that Adam described earlier. Typically when we launch an offering, we don't have any assets in our portfolio. So you guys have the hindsight where you can see what we actually own, and you can own a piece of it. And we still have room to buy another 1 or 2 assets in the portfolio at these pandemic prices. So we're very excited about offering this to you guys today, so we can buy a few more properties in the portfolio and close this fund out. But as you know already, you already have a preview into what we actually own. And those 6 properties are amazing. I mean, I know one of them is about a mile from where I live on the beach, literally on the sand. I mean, that's one of those irreplaceable locations that never goes up for market. So the fact that we got this rare opportunity to own it, is such a gem. And that's something that we pride ourselves on. Is really how we buy assets and where we buy them.
I'm coming to visit, bringing the pina coladas. It's on the beach.
Right. Great.
What's the minimum investment then?
Our minimum investment is $100,000. Real estate's not cheap on the west side, so our minimum has always been larger than most offerings. But if you're interested, we have a ChristinaLA.com is our website. We have a data room that you can look at and see some of our track records, some of our materials, some of our marketing stuff, offering documents. We're very excited about what we have in the pipeline right now. Like I said, certain asset sectors have been out of favor, like retail, office, and even hospitality. So we have a couple deals that we're looking at that we're very excited about. So that's why we're eager to share this opportunity to the world. And, we want to close this fund next month. So, there's a little bit limited time available, limited space available. But now's the time, I don't think real estate will be at these prices for much longer. So it's all about timing. I think people made a lot of money in the stock market. I think it's a little frothy right now. It's time to roll over some of that money and to buy into long-term real estate. So it's a good inflation hedge as well.
Excellent. Now, I know you've presented a couple of times here. Christina's presented a couple of times before here. Is there anywhere else we can hear? You presented in any other events? Is there any more we can learn about?
Yeah. No, definitely. Because of the pandemic, we started to learn how to do Zoom webinars finally. I think, Tim, you've been ahead of us, but we're starting to adopt that. But next week, actually, Larry will be speaking at this Lido conference. If you go to our website, you can ask for more information about it. And then the following week, we're going to be doing an actual text webinar with Larry and a managing director of CBiz to go over kind of the tax incentives of owning real estate. And then the following week, I think we have another webinar that we'll be going over kind of LA real estate trends, opportunities, and how people can have access to this marketplace now. And these will all be Larry Taylor, unfortunately couldn't join our call today, but he's the visionary behind Christina, and he's a very informative and educational speaker. And again, I'm learning something from him every day still. He's got so many stories and so much great deep experiences that he's exciting to watch. So yeah, come to our website and ask for more information, but we got like 3 back-to-back webinars that we're gonna be having. So again, we're excited to share ourselves with the rest of the world here. So thank you, Tim, for hosting this. It's always a pleasure to speak at these events.
Excellent. And for the audience, Vincent Chan and I, we go back to together. We work together at American Homes for Rent. So we actually have known each other for quite some time. I appreciate you coming out and presenting here today. Give us the website. If you put that in the chat, give us the website, give the audience the website so they'll know where to reach Christina and where they can find out about all these events. Thank you so much for presenting here today. Right now, what we're going to do is we are going to, that's all the time we have for the questions. We're going to start our polls, a couple of different polls. Our first one is just to give us some feedback on how we've been doing. If you're gaining value, I hope you're gaining value, and we're bringing you some deal flow that you can actually invest in. And I hope you found something that piqued your interest here today. And all of this is we do this for you. We do this for the companies. We do this to bring you together, and also take advantage of the networking event. I'm going to be posting that link shortly in the chat, so you can go to, visit the networking event, and you can join us all. And everyone will have the opportunity to speak and be on video and everything else. But we're going to launch the first poll. And this is just really, I want to get your feedback on who delivered the best presentation here today. So that's our first one that I am going to launch. Who gave the best pitch? So I'll give a few minutes for you to, it's really simple. You only have 4 choices here. So was it Sugarleaf? I actually, it says Sugarleaf there, but that is Sugarloaf. And maybe because of the mountain, maybe they might consider changing that name to Sugarleaf. My apologies, my spelling sometimes, I didn't major in spelling. We have, or was it Tigress and not Tigers? Again, that's me. This is my poll. I put this together last minute. So we just admitting we're human sometimes is part of the fun, isn't it? So Driftless, was it Driftless? Did you feel they gave the best presentation, or was it Christina? And think of this as, what did you find here today? Did you find a company that you might consider investing in? Did you find a stage of a company that you're considering? There are various stages that presented here today. So there's definitely a diversity and an opportunity for you to be involved in different stages and different levels of company. We also have this available. We have current offerings available on the Linked Ventures website at www.linkedventures.net. Under current offerings, under that page, you can go and visit, see other offerings from companies that have presented here in the past, see companies that have presented here today. Most of these companies will be available the following week. It gives us a little bit of time to get their pitch decks and access to their deal rooms and everything else. So again, we're going to give it a few minutes here so that a little bit of time here so we can get enough of your votes in. I'd love to see that at least get 70% of the audience to make a vote, make a selection. Was it Sugarloaf? Was it Tigress? Was it Driftless? Was it Christina who delivered the best pitch here today? If you have other questions or you'd like to participate in an event like this one, you can you can visit the Linked Ventures website, go to www.linkedventures.net. You can learn about what we do. You can even apply to present. If you want to be an investor to be connected, you can contact us there as well and tell us that you also want to know about deal flow or you want to know about events. We also are active on social media, mostly on LinkedIn. It's a more of a social media that I myself am more familiar with as well. And so we tell you about these opportunities so that you can attend there as well. So I'm going to give I would love to get this up to 70%. We're not quite there. We're at like 60% of the vote. So I need a few more of you to make a choice. Was it Sugarloaf? Was it Tigress? Was it Driftless? Was it Christina? Were you interested in cannabis dispensaries and with Sugarloaf and vertical cannabis company? Were you interested in biotech or clean tech, Tigress? Did they pique your interest? Was it Driftless Extracts, who's revolutionizing the hemp industry? Was it Christina, a real estate sponsor? So I'm gonna give it just if you want me to stop talking about it, I need a couple more of you people. Please, thank you for taking out your time. Please just tell us what you thought here today so that I can end this poll. And we just want our other poll after this is just a really quick poll about how we're doing. Are we doing a good job? Are you getting value from this events? Could we be doing better? I'm open to feedback. I know I could be doing better with spelling. That's one thing for sure. So we're going to have that link also shortly posted in the chat. So check your chat for the networking meeting. It's already available on the website at linkedventures.net. If you look at the bottom of this schedule under the investor spotlight, you'll find the networking meeting. We'll take a brief break, maybe about a 10-minute break before we join that. So that'll start at about 1:15 today. So we're just about there. I think I need one more person to make a selection that'll get us to 70%, if my math is right. If just one more person, so if you're kind of on the fence and you haven't decided yet, maybe you'll push that over. So I think the results are in. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now so we can all know, unless we want to, it looks like we got maybe a couple more votes. I'm going to end that poll in about 5 seconds here. So go ahead and make your choice. All right, I think that's time for the poll for who delivered the best pitch. And I know the companies are interested. I know all the presenters are interested how they did as well. So this is their feedback. So there we have it. It looks like 6% of the vote went to Sugarloaf. And but it looks like Tigris came in first with 53% of the vote for delivering the best pitch today, followed by Driftless with 29%, followed by Christina at 18%. Again, I remind you, we're going to be joining you in the networking following this event. I'll post that link here real soon. So I'm going to stop sharing these results so I can put our other poll. And this is just a couple of just quick questions in how we're doing. There's only, five questions. They're just multiple choice questions. You can tell us how we're doing, give us some feedback. And I'm going to post, while you're doing that, I'm going to post that link to the networking. And so there you have the Zoom meeting link for the networking meeting, which we'll be joining at about 1:15. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to hear these companies. Thank you so much for your support and supporting our events and coming out. I know I hear from some of you in between, and I enjoy the feedback, and I'd love to hear how we could do better, how we can make it better for you. If you are interested in presenting an event like this, tell us. You can contact me directly, tim@glifecap.com. I'll put my email information in the chat as well. We do a screening process. Not everybody can present. We get hundreds of requests every week. We definitely have plenty of deal flow that we do look at. So we try to put opportunities that we feel like it's going to pique the audience interest. It will have a fit within our network. And so not everyone can present, but we do like to give as much opportunity as we can. So thank you so much for taking time out again and joining us here today. And if you're someone who is looking at this, just to know if you could gain value, if you were able to present your company. Thank you so much for also attending. Thank you to the investors. We've had a lot of great traction. We've had companies that have already raised money through our events, and we've had some really exciting results. We only started this back in September of last year in 2020. And we'll be doing some more of these events. So check the linkedventures.net website for more of the latest updates. Just a couple more, maybe a minute or so here to answer these questions. And then I'm going to end this poll. I'd like to get that up to at least 50% of you to answer some. I know they're lengthier questions. And I believe they were all spell checked. So give those a chance and take a look at those and answer those as quickly as you possibly can. I know we won't be here all day, and I don't want to talk all day. I'm starting to get, I would love to have a water break as well, just as much as I think you would love to have a break and not have to hear from me all the time. But I appreciate you all. You guys are great. Your support is great. Everyone who's been giving your support on LinkedIn and through your emails and visiting our site, you guys are great. You're wonderful. We couldn't do this without the companies that are presenting. We couldn't do this without the attending, the investors that have attended and the industry professionals that have attended. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. So it looks like we're over 50%. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. Thank you so much. And we're going to see you in about 5 minutes over at the networking meeting. And we're going to end this here. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes.